Hello and welcome, it's me, LinkingX2, back again with the next Telecom War, KT versus T1. The last one, nearly went into KT's favor with the 2-1 dub over T1 in the final game. But afterwards, both teams are still struggling, as you see 4-6 and 5-5 middle of the pack teams. And now, as we are in the second round of the summer split, time is moving on. And these two teams here really need to pack up a punch to get up in the standings and not miss out on these juicy playoff spots. As you see on the screen already, Oner is playing for Cuz on the T1 side. Have been swapped the jungle position. I think it's the 11th team, if I remember that correctly. Obviously, T1 moving through all these iterations in the spring split. KT on their side, they haven't changed anything. Also for T1, very important, they switched their coaches. So might be something interesting, might be a new approach here. I think that was something they just did yesterday, so not sure if we can see major improvement so far. Probably they will go with what the players feel comfortable with at the moment. And then maybe against Damwon Kia, the next match on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, Saturday. We will see improvement maybe from the coach, maybe some new adaptation. But so far it should be more players focused here, what T1 is drafting and how they approach the game. And already in the draft, of course, we see on KT's side banning very important picks against T1. The Ziggs obviously against Gumayushi, Lee Sin, even though he has been nerfed, still very potent pick, and the Nocturne also against Faker. On the other side, T1 banning away the Lucian and the Diego against KT, more especially, and also the Xin Zhao against Blank. These are champions that KT has played in the past against T1, but also to their regular success. And especially picking banning away something from Dove, who has been the shining light on KT for quite a while, is a valid strategy. KT here also locking in Renekton, Rumble and Jhin, so going for more early to mid game power. Jhin obviously has some scaling elements, but in general his DPS is not that high in comparison to other AD carries in the later stages, and he also famously struggles with tanks. So here T1 answering that strategy so far with a bit of a greedy scaling variance, right? Diana, decent early, even into Rumble, but not as strong, while both really pop off with the level 6. Rumble level 6 obviously very explosive, and his base damage in teamfights way more relevant than what Diana can offer, just at level 6. Varus obviously decent to strong laning phase depending on the support matchup mostly, but then in the mid game, if he has not really accelerated much, not too shining. But then later on obviously very famous with his range and his high damage, then he can carry. So the Jayce also falls in line of that. Very good early game in laning phase. His mid game then is very nice if he could snowball and get his 2 item power spike very fast. Otherwise will be then later on in the team fights when he has his 2-3 item power spikes, he's good again. So T1 having a bit of a curve and a bit of a power trough in the mid game. Should their champions be set behind or not accelerated enough. And looking at KT, they certainly have the means now to deal with that. We have to look at the execution. Obviously T1 players, if they're performing on par, individually one of the best players in the league. So as a T1 fan, I'm not too worried about that yet. Short look at the bans. KT banning away Carrier's Leona and Faker's TF. Nothing too special, and makes a bit of sense. T1 really need some more linear and easy engage, right? They have a Diana dash in and a Varus ultimate, so big and long range abilities like a TF Gold card and Leona ultimate would have been nice for them, and it's certainly something they will struggle with now. But yeah, these bans are very good. On the other side, Alistar and Wukong being banned, yeah, T1 covering their weaknesses. So far their team has a very soft underbelly. KT doesn't have that much hard engage. Well, didn't have enough hard engage at that point. So banning away these two options that are more harder to deal with, quite understandable. Faker locking in his Ryze again. His performance was good, but yeah, well, the overall team play wasn't too great in the Nongshim series. Didn't cover that on my channel, was ill at the time, but yeah, that's that at least. Here, Gragas being locked in for carrier, very famous Gragas player. Even Kaz, who's very famous for his jungle Gragas, praises his support Gragas or his Gragas play in general. So yeah, you know, carriers Gragas is really dope. And yeah, before we forget it, KT also in their second rotation here locking in the set for the mid lane for Dove, something that he's quite accustomed to and yeah, has performed very well on in the past. And for Harp, Rel obviously not the meta champion at the moment, has fallen a bit out of favor, but certainly here she can offer what they need, right? I mentioned T1 has a bit of a soft underbelly. Now they have a Realm Warp, how is it called? Energy Gate, I forgot it, from Jayce the E, and a Gragas with his E and R. They have some disengage tools, yes, but they're not super great. They're good, decent, and especially if they're ahead, can make good use of it. But there's a Jhin with his ultimate that can slow them from afar. There's an equalizer that can slow them from afar. Then there's a Renekton running in. Probably not with Ghost, but I mean Flash, Slice and Dice is enough of a good wave gap closer already. And on top of that, they have a set, probably flanking or doing some other shenanigans. And now a Rel as well with her obviously very famous, very fast and very strong engage. So KT very smartly looking at what T1's weaknesses is and are picking in that line of thought. Also not diverging from their core team identity, right? They had some long range tools with the Jhin and Rumble, and also some early game power with the Renekton. So instead of like maybe, I don't know, picking some random stuff, yes, they diverged from the idea of long range, but the long range tools they have, they're still going to make good use of that because they, yeah, would really like the slows from them for, yeah, easier engage for their melee, solo laners and obviously the Rel. So KT really good drafting here. Obviously we can discuss about the power level of a set top, a Rel, a Jhin and a Renekton. Their power levels aren't too high, but thematically it's good. Looking at the matchups they're going to face, Jayce versus Set. If the Set player is very good or well gets a Rumble attention, can make Canna's life a bit hurtful, but Canna's Jayce is actually very strong. Has proven often that his individual powers with the champion is good. Obviously, yeah, T1 at the moment famously suffering from team play issues instead of individual performance, at least mostly. And these swaps, right? Closer, Kaz and Teddy being swapped out is not because they performed bad as an individual, but because probably the team play was off, and just switching it up with a new member here or there can already help a lot. If you ever heard anything from different squads, even in NA, where they're a bit more vocal about that stuff. The jungle matchup already discussed that the Rumble has a bit of a nice advantage early on, but as we see, Oner it shows that he's a solo queue god. His clear speed is insane with the Diana at the moment. Okay, you can't see it because the music is blocking it, but yeah, he's a camp up already. But we have to wait and see. Obviously, Rumble does obliterate the jungle. In the mid lane, Renekton versus the Ryze. That is a matchup, well, it can go either way with gank setups, right? Ryze obviously having lost quite a bit of HP with all the shields being taken away from him, but still very good bullying with the early E spam, and yeah, especially with also his auto tag range against the Renekton. It's quite nice for him. Also shorter lane, obviously greater benefit for the ranged champion in most scenarios. In the bot lane, well, the duo Jhin Rel is not super bad in lane, but in comparison to what T1 has with the Gragas and the Varus, more lane dominant, more wave push, it's just way better. So now we've just lean back and check out. Can T1 win the first game? We have to wait and see.